Sure. So I do have a brief bilingual message to share with all of you. Pues buenos días. Mi nombre es Regina Santos Moreno y para proporcionar el acceso lingüístico estamos ofreciendo interpretación simultánea entre el inglés y el español para la reunión de hoy. Así que si nos están acompañando a través de en Zoom, a través de computadora o de PC, verán un icono en forma de globo en alguna parte de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Haga clic ahí, seleccione español y haga clic en Done. Si está usando la aplicación de Zoom en un iPad o en un teléfono, busque el menú de 3 puntos en la parte superior de su pantalla. Haga clic en interpretación de idiomas, elija español y haga clic en Done. Les recordamos a todos nuestros oradores que hablen uno a la vez y a un paso moderado. So good morning, my name is Regina Santos Moreno and I will be interpreting today's session and webinar. So in order to provide language access, we have provided this simultaneous interpretation between English and Spanish. So if you're bilingual, you do not have to press anything, but if you are not bilingual and you are on the computer and you wish to hear the presentation in English, you will have to select that language channel to hear the presentation. So if you're on a PC or laptop, look for the globe icon on the bottom right of your screen that says interpretation. Select English and click on Done. If you are using the Zoom application on an iPad or phone or tablet, locate the 3-dot menu on the top right of your screen. Click on Language Interpretation and then select English. We would like to remind all of our speakers to please speak at a moderate pace. Thank you very much. And if you could assign me as interpreter now.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we have an attendee named Max who's requesting to record the session. Is that okay for me to allow?
Yes. Yeah, they are. I think they were already being recorded.
Yeah, it's
Regina,
already showing recording.
Yeah, Regina, where do I add the interpreter?
So there should be something, I believe, in meeting participants or in the meeting settings that
Oh, Regina. Lori, do you know how to add the interpreter? I don't see it.
I think so. Just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. We're adding Regina, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
English to Spanish?
Yes.
Did that do it?
Is that working, Regina? I'm sorry, folks, we will get started in just a second. Oh, here, interpretation.
She's in, she's good.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Lori. All right, so I'm going to share screen. There we go. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna explain. Okay, so I would like to introduce two of my students in my current Ethnic Studies for Educators class, Sylvia Moreno Chavez, Abbie Harding, and Jocelyn Alvarado, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but she is on Zoom to do her portion of the presentation. So I will leave it up to them and get out of your way, and I'll be over here.
I don't know if you guys want to shift to this side so that you can see the screen.
Sorry. Thanks for all your patience.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Just use that video. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, they're all in it. I don't know if I can.
It's fine.
Okay.
Can you guys see the screen or would you like it off? Good. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be doing a presentation today on our Chicanx studies. We prepared a lesson plan for you guys. Please keep in mind that it is geared to second graders, but it does have a lot of information that we're super excited to share with you. Our lesson plan is called What's in a Name? And just like the professor mentioned earlier, there's Abbie, myself, and Jocelyn who's joining us via Zoom. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry for all the technical difficulties.
Jocelyn, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Jocelyn. I go by she, her pronouns. This is my first year at Cuesta. I have a background in early childhood education and in ethnic studies. I did a lot of activism work last year in my community and at school. I'm an early childhood education major. I'm interested in working with preschool children and being a preschool teacher.
My name is Abbie. My pronouns are she, her. I am a second year at Cuesta, and I am an early childhood education major as well. And really, since I can remember, I've been interested in working with children and always found myself in positions to work with others and educate.
My name is Sylvia. My pronouns are she, her. I am a returning student to Cuesta. I was a psych tech for several years and just wanted to further my education. And I decided to do nursing. So I am a pre-nursing major at this time. I love helping people. And I do think that all of the knowledge I learned in my ethnic studies class will help me better improve my experience and the experience of my patients in the future.
So now we're gonna do a little get to know you game to get to know you guys better. So the way the game works is you're gonna introduce yourself and then you're gonna introduce an adjective that starts with the same letter as your name. So we have some examples: justice, joyful; Paola, powerful. And so I'll start and then we'll kind of just go in a circle. So I am adventurous Abbie.
And I'm sassy Sylvia. We can go ahead and start with you.
My name is Amber and I'm really
Awesome.
Go ahead.
My name is Martin and I am Bolivian.
My name is Andrew and I am adventurous. No.
Norma. And nothing.
Oh, that's it. Go ahead.
My name is Jeffrey and occasionally I'm generous.
We'll just go zigzag this way. Go ahead.
My name is Claire and I'm creative.
My name is Yesenia Chavarria. I am at the office of Congressman Sylvia Carvajal, and I am powerful.
I'm Sarah and I'm definitely smiley.
I'm
Mariana, I'm radical. I'm Morgan. I guess I'm magnificent.
I'm Patricia. I'm pet loving, especially cats.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm McKenna and I guess motivational.
I'm Dean. I would say I'm dependable. Gerardo Genio. I'm Riot. I'm bodacious. Mindful.
Courageous, Cecilia.
Beautiful Brandon.
I'm determined Dawn. I'm the county supervisor for District 3, San Luis Obispo County.
I'm tardy, Tara.
Oh, I'm silly best.
awesome. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Oh, Jocelyn, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. So going on, we want to read you guys a book called Alma and How She Got Her Name by Juana Martinez Neo. And I'm going to hand this off to Sylvia so she can read this.
All right. Book again is Alma and How She Got Her Name. Alma Sofia Esperanza Jose Pura Candelaria, or Candela, or had a long name, too long to ask her. My name is so long, Daddy. It never fits, Alma said. Come here, he said. Let me tell you the story of your name, then you can decide if it fits. Sophia was your grandmother, he began. She loved books, poetry, jasmine flowers, and of course me. She was the one who taught me how to read. I love books and flowers, and you too, Dad. I am Sophia. Esperanza was your great-grandmother, he continued. She hoped to travel, but never left the city where she was born. Her only son grew up to cross the 7 seas. Wherever her sailor son went, so did Esperanza's heart. The world is so big. I want to go see it, Daddy. You and me together. I am Esperanza. Jose was my father, Alma's daddy said. He was an artist with a big family, like many people back then. Early each morning, he walked to the mountain and to the plaza to paint everyday life. Sometimes he went along, or sometimes I went along. Your grandfather taught me to see and love our people. I wake up early every day and draw a lot too. This morning I drew a kitty cat for you, Daddy. I am Jose. Buddha was your great aunt. She believed that the spirit of our ancestors are always with us, watching over us. When you were born, she tied a red string around your wrist, a charm to keep you safe. Hello, Buddha. It's me, Alma. Candela was your other grandmother. She always stood up for what was right. I am Candela. I love the story of my name now. Tell me about Alma, Daddy. Where does that come from? I picked the name Alma just for you. You are the first and the only Alma. You will make your own story. Alma Sofia Esperanza Jose Pura Candela. That's my name and it fits me just right. I am Alma and I have a story to tell.
So who can tell me what Alma learned about her name?
That every name has a meaning in her life.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
How do you think Alma felt learning the origins of her name and her ancestors' history?
Go ahead.
Probably more powerful.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you have something you want to share?
I'd say like pride and love, being part of a heritage and a family.
Yes, exactly. Does anyone know the origins of their name or where their name comes from? I would like to share one too.
I was named after my grandmother.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Oh,
Oh. Questions.
named after my great grandmother.
Awesome.
Oh, Katie is kind. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, guys.
Perfect. So now we're going to share kind of the origins of our names and how we kind of got them. So we'll start with Jocelyn.
So my first name, my parents decided to name me Jocelyn because it came with kindness, and the definition is happy and joyful. And I get told a lot that I have a happy, joyful, courageous, and overall contagious personality and laugh. So yeah. And then my middle name, Aisha, my parents like the definition of it because it means life, and they kind of was like they were just setting a vision of who they wanted me to become. And yeah, so my last name, my father's last name is Alvarado, so that's my last name. I kind of gave like a kind of like broad definition of it. When I was growing up, I just saw how hardworking all of the people from my dad's side are, and they were, although they were had little and like little to nothing, and very poor, they came with big pride and big spirit. And also same with my mom's last name, Torres. It comes from a long line of people that never give up and are always head on face a challenge.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thanks, Jocelyn. And then my name is Abigail Nicole Harding. So on both sides of my family, my dad and my mom's, I have a great grandmother who's named Abigail. And we kind of switched the name, my mom did, to an ABA instead of an I, and it's kind of just unique to me. And then the meaning of Abigail is father's joy, and it's kind of just like random that's what Abigail means. But I am an only girl. I have 4 brothers, and so it's kind of special bond between me and my dad that my name means father's joy. And then same with Nicole, me and my mom share that middle name. And again, it's just kind of special that I'm the only girl that gets to have that name with my mom. And like most last names, I have a long line of history behind Harding. And my dad's great grandfather, he was orphaned at 8, and he was sent to America by himself from England. And it's kind of cool to know that history and know where my last name comes from. And so I carry that last name with pride.
My name is Sylvia Moreno Chavez. I was actually named Sylvia after my aunt, or my tia. She was the first person on my mom's side to graduate from college with a bachelor's degree. She is strong, smart, and just recently retired from Merced College, where she served as the director of admissions. Consuelo is my middle name, and I was named after my paternal grandmother. She was a businesswoman and a proud owner of the only store in her little pueblo of Plateros, Zacatecas in Mexico. Moreno Chavez is a mixture of both my mom and my dad's last name. And it's just a reminder that hard work and dedication makes anything possible. My family came from Mexico, and I'm 3rd generation, but when they came from Mexico, they were able to accomplish what many would call the American dream. They purchased a home, and they were able to get their kids in college, and that's where we are today.
So I know we kind of already asked, but does anyone have kind of a deeper meaning to their name that they know or they would like to share?
Go ahead.
My last name is Martinez, and I think it's funny because like growing up, my dad's side always was like, "You're Martinez, you can be anything."
That's cool.
Yeah, of course. It's fun to have those like meanings behind our last name.
Would anybody else like to share?
I get Garcia from my father, but he got it from his mother. And my mom would always say that she was selfish, like, want her name to be his last name. But I just think it's funny. It's like,
And 2, I think the swapping of the names is like a cultural thing. And I just recently learned that, which is pretty cool.
I want to share. Yeah, this is very, very cultural. In my case, my name Martin is not that full of philosophy, but has to do with survival. When I was born, 2 of my sisters before me died, like days after being born. My parents were too afraid I was next. So there's this saint, San Martin de Porres, and I'm under his guard, I guess.
It's awesome.
Very old already, so I think it worked.
Well, we're happy that you're here.
Thank you for sharing. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to share or in the chat? You check in the chat.
Oh, there we go. We have one. Just click on it. I'm Henrietta because that is what Enriqueta translates into in English. My mother did not choose to name me Henrietta. Back in the day, hospital staff thought translating Spanish names into English was better or more politically correct. I now like my two patches, Henrietta Cortada, because of how many meaningful words in my life began with the letter H: holistic humanity, history, heritage, and health. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Awesome, thank you. So now we're kind of going to talk about like the importance of a name. Why are we talking about names? Like, what does a name mean? So names obviously are part of our identity. They're part of about what makes us us. And like we learned from Alma, names can have powerful and significant meanings behind them. And like Alma, we can carry our ancestors' history through our names. And then again, names can show respect to others by when we call them by their respective name, we're showing we care and that we want to respect them. And then again, names are, even though many people have the same name, especially Abbie, it's a very common name, names are still unique to us and they're part about what makes us us.
All right, we're going to go ahead and introduce our main topic, which is Chicano, Chicana, Chicanx movement. Has anybody heard of a movement? If you have, raise your hand. Awesome. Hopefully we'll be able to add to your knowledge, and definitely at the end, if you guys feel comfortable enough to give us information, we would love that. If you look at the screen, the first picture was taken in the 1960s, and it was a group of fathers protesting and fighting for equal rights for equal educational rights for their children. And the middle picture you'll see is a group of farm laborers who got together, and in 1983, who were brought together through the Farm Labor Organization Committee, and they actually marched from the tomato and pickle fields in Ohio all the way to Campbell Soup's headquarters in New Jersey to fight for social justice and labor rights in the Midwest. And the last picture we have is of young protesters who were protesting in front of the city and county building in 1978. Jocelyn?
So we wanted to start off by kind of giving some definitions / background to some of the terms that we now hear a lot in daily interactions, like Chicano, Chicano, and Chicanx. This term refers to people who are Mexican American, and this term has a lot of indigenous roots to it. And it was also once used as a slur, but it was then later Mexican American people were then later to take the term back and use it as a powerful symbol and evidently make it into a powerful movement. An important note to add is that not everyone who is Mexican American identifies with this term, so it is important that we all ask those who are Mexican, or those people who are Mexican Americans, to see if the term fits them or not. The next term is Latina, Latino, and Latinx. This term refers to people who originate from North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. These countries are what now are labeled as Latin America. In most of these countries, they all speak Spanish, but of course there are different types of regions that speak different languages. So yeah. This term also has a history of excluding Indigenous and Black people as well. And this term is also primarily and dominantly used only in the US. So that's why a lot of people in Latin America don't really use the word Latina, Latino, and Latinx. Our next term is Hispanic. So I know a lot of people are confused of Latina and Latino and Latinx and Hispanic, and if they're interchangeable, but they're not. This term was given to people who are Latinx by the US Census Bureau. It was meant to identify people with Spanish ancestry, so this is why it doesn't really apply to people who are Latinx. And again, just to note, it's not interchangeable. And this term has also have a historic background of excluding people, specifically Black and Indigenous people.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Now that we know some of the terms, I wanted to go over the Chicanx movement, also known as El Movimiento. Just to make it a little easier moving forward, I'm going to just say Chicano movement. That's okay. The Chicano movement was a time when Mexican Americans came together to stand up for rights and fight against discrimination. And they did this through marches, protests, walkouts, and they went before the federal courts and multiple education boards to demand change. Some of the issues that they were definitely addressing during this time was the restoration of land grants that were unlawfully seized unlawfully seized by the government. At the end of the Mexican-American War, they granted 85,000 acres of land to Mexican Americans. And like I mentioned, the government came and unlawfully seized the land from them. Another issue we were fighting for was farm worker rights. And in 1962, a group of Chicano activists led by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Cuesta embarked in a journey to fight for fair wages, 8-hour days, as well as improved working conditions for farm laborers. And really that expanded to all Mexican American laborers. And as a result, a foundation called the United Farm Workers was developed. And they also fought for educational rights and educational qualities, not only for Mexican American, or not only for students of Mexican descent, but for all students. They wanted to combat institutional racism, increase cultural homogeny, and fight for the hiring of qualified teachers and improve school conditions, mainly because there was 40 students to one teacher. And one thing that I learned this semester, and I'm very proud of, is about the Mendez and Westminster case of 1947, which helped pave the way for desegregation in schools. It also helped with the Brown versus Board of Education, which ultimately led to desegregation in schools. Last but not least, voting rights and political rights for Mexican Americans. With that, I mean the ability to vote by providing access to registration, education on what they're voting on, and providing accessibility. And this has in turn led to more representation in our offices, even here locally.
So now that we've tried to talk about the importance of the Chicano, and Chicanx movement and names, kind of like tying it together, why are those names in both important? So those in the movement, they took a name with a negative connotation and they turned it into something powerful, and they brought pride back to Mexican Americans. So before the movement, many Mexican Americans were changing their name to assimilate to their surroundings. So now some of the ways that we can adapt and we can use this knowledge is we can make sure that we are calling people by their preferred names and showing respect and that we care for them. And then we are carrying our history of our ancestors' names through our names and our pride in it. And then another thing, if we're not sure, like Jocelyn said earlier, if we're not sure how someone identifies, then what their name is, how to pronounce their name, it's okay to just ask, show that you care, show that you want to learn.
A perfect example of that was earlier in the chat when, oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're
For Henrietta, when she said that her name was switched, a lot of that happened with this. Jose, for instance, Jose went to Johnny or Maria went to Marie. That's just an example.
Our slides will be shared as, okay.
If you guys can hear us, yes, they will be.
Okay, so would anyone like to share? Because I know a lot of you had heard about the movement before. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to share that, you know, it's very fascinating because when I grew up, I was born in 59, so that's how old I am now. But a lot of Latinos, people would say, they'd say, where are you from? It's, well, I'm Spanish. Nobody wanted to really declare that they had Mexican in them, or more importantly, indigenous. And I think I'm so proud and thrilled today that we're more celebrating our indigenous heritage than we are our Spanish and Euro heritage that so many of us have in us. So it was really something that always was the standard answer. And you go, well, where did they come from Spain? Didn't really have an answer. So, but anyway, I wanted to share that. So
Good, thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
I
Share the teacher at Paso Robles High School, where we have a majority of Latino students. It's really common for my students, juniors and seniors, to tell me that they've never had their name pronounced correctly by a teacher, ever. And so it's the name that their parents called them, the name that they're called at home is not the name. And so they either they change their name to adjust, or just, you know, tolerate the mangled pronunciation. But I think as teachers, as fellow students, as fellow citizens, it's really nice, like you said, to take that time and ask how their family pronounces their name. Because it does make a huge difference when they're actually recognized fully like that in the classroom. Like you say, the name is such a basic part of who we are.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It just shows a lot of respect, which definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, just kind of reflecting on my own family and heritage. My mom and her sisters came here from Mexico when they were children. My mom was Vida Maria Solomon Ceseñas, but now she goes by Vera. Because of the implications or the effects that she faced growing up in the 70s in America. And now, like, it's great to see where, you know, like even just our names, we can kind of reclaim it and take it back to embrace our heritage.
Yeah, definitely.
So tying it all together, Mr. Land was actually my high school teacher at Paso High.
Mine too.
And so I know for me, assimilating was probably really important growing up as a kid in Paso, where there wasn't, I think, as much embracing of one's culture. Things have changed, which the assimilation, I think for me now, is to make sure that I pronounce my name correctly in white spaces or in spaces. And I know it means a lot when I know I have a very long last name, and I would always say people, you know, my name is Yesenia Echevarria, or if you would like to say Echevarria. So, you know, I think it's also important for us to create that space of learning and opportunity of pronunciation. I know rolling the R's can be tough, but it does make me feel very proud to see that very much with the student, Mr. Land, of taking that sense of wanting your name, which is so powerful, to be pronounced correctly. And I know it brings such a sense of pride.
definitely. Did you have something?
But I had a question. So I'm from the Central Valley,
which is a little different than here. I say in the Central Valley, it's very diverse, and people think that's enough. And so there's not a lot of attention paid to ethnic studies and seeing it as valid. So I teach high school. I started teaching in LA, and in LA, obviously, it's a lot more comfortable to have an open dialogue about race and about the ethnic studies in America, because most of my students were brown and black. But coming back to the Central Valley, where it's a wider range, there's a lot more Caucasian students. When I do activities like this, I find a lot of my Caucasian students feel like they don't have a culture, feel like they don't have a history. And I encourage them, like, you came from somewhere, but that independent American culture, you know, often success is leaving your family and going somewhere else, and cutting ties, you know, is often very common, versus like the Latino culture. You know, I have a friend who calls his mom every day, and that's normal. He's 50 years old. Call your mom every day. So I was just wondering what kinds of strategies or things might you say to students who feel like they don't have a culture, or maybe struggle to connect with this side, especially in an environment like the Central Valley, where the primary or the majority, the major narrative is more conservative, more you know, hesitant or resistant to this kind of.
So I actually felt like that at the beginning of my ethnic studies class. Everyone was talking about their name, and I was like, I'm just like, I don't have a culture, like. But then we watched a video last week, and it was talking about learning which indigenous land you were born on, and learning your history, learning like where you come from. So after that, like, I kind of learned like where both my grandparents were born, like which indigenous land were they born, which indigenous land was I born, and learning more about the culture that I was surrounded by. And I actually grew up in Utah, like 20 minutes from a reservation. So it's the Ute tribe. So it was really interesting to learn more about the Ute tribe and learn like where I'm coming from. So I say just taking the time and telling students, like, learn like where you're born, like learn kind of your surroundings. And that kind of has helped me like feel like I have a culture in me.
And also utilize your resources. If you ask your parents, if you have your parents, ask your grandparents, and find out from them. And yeah, just pretty much ask.
Oh, so is there some questions? Sorry. Oh, hi, Mr. Land. You have lots of comments.
Very popular.
Jocelyn. Can Jocelyn see that comment?
Jocelyn, can you see the comments?
Well, this one's.
Yes, I can see them.
Would you be able to address this one? It's from Max. Can you see it? I don't know.
Could you speak on why there is nothing much ever said about the role of the French in Mexican history?
I think that's basically you have to search.
Yeah.
On your, it's not really.
We don't have the answer, but we can probably look it up and send it to you in a private chat.
European history.
Oh, yeah, and that we don't study European history. Google is our best friend, you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, we couldn't answer that question. Anybody else?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, it's really interesting because unless you came from certain neighborhoods and ethnic areas of cities, or there, you know, a lot of Caucasian people don't really talk about, even ask their ancestors, like, where are we from? And in some ways that is, you know, derived from the melting pot mentality of the United States. You know, you're not going to be speaking Gaelic, or even, you know, in some cultures, they just kind of moved away from it. But it's, ask your ancestors while they're alive, or your family members before they're not around. And so they can ask who they need to ask, because so many people did never ask the question.
And sometimes you'll be so surprised at the history you find out. Some of it's amazing, and we can't move forward unless we know that stuff. We can't change things that we've done or things that we can without knowing what's happened. Anybody else?
Oh, yeah.
I don't, and this is an ethnic studies conference, but that question about France and, you know, white roots and Anglo sort of identity or lack thereof. There's a movement in Europe right now to go back hundreds of years to pre sort of Middle Ages kinds of traditional, or might want to say European indigenous ways of responding to big questions and medicine and health and plants. And it's really, I think that there is, even in European cultures, this desire to touch that deep ancestry and the deep identity. So I think there are possibilities beyond just even where you were born.
Yeah.
There's going back to Europe and finding out what it was like 1,000 years ago and what were the learnings. And even Europeans have some version of indigeneity.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Would anybody else like to share? Have any comments?
Okay, we have a little craft. If you would like to leave, feel free, but we encourage, okay, so this is kind of the craft. It's a little name tag, and I drew bubbles on mine because I think I'm kind of a bubbly person, but feel free to just draw anything that you feel represents you or your history or your ancestors. And then Sylvia's passing out materials.
I just want to say that give our presenters a round. Thank you. The Jocelyn who is on Zoom, the folks who are on Zoom. I just want to, while you're working on your name, want to remind you that at noon, we will be having lunch in the courtyard right outside the building where we were meeting. There's Hawaiian barbecue if you would like to join. There was also a drag performance from our Cal Poly Drag Club students. And then at 1 o'clock, the second round of workshops will continue. So please join us for lunch and we'll see you there. And then on Zoom. And for folks on Zoom, you will be able to also watch the performance at lunch remotely as well. Yeah, I mean, none of it is required, so you can participate and stay on as much as you want to. But everything will be recorded, so you can always watch these sessions later. All right, and thank you to the folks on Zoom. Thank you to Lori for helping us manage that side of things. And I think we'll close the Zoom event room from here now.